Hey everyone, Josh here. I've been getting some questions about Data Studio lately, and I thought I would do a quick overview video just explaining a little bit about how I build what I build in Data Studio, and maybe for some people letting people know just what Data Studio is. So this is a dashboard I built. Let me put it in view mode, make it look nice and clean. This is using Google Search Console data. It's a default connector Data Studio already has, pulling data in, and using some basic visualization tools to present that data in a way that's maybe a little bit more useful than just looking at the raw data. So Data Studio is a data visualization tool. It lets you pull in data from lots of different places, maybe your ads data and your sales data and whatever, conversion metrics, pull them all in, put them all onto some kind of visualization. Put them into one kind of dashboard or series of visualizations. So it's got all sorts of things from just presenting metrics to different types of charts, geocharts, that sort of thing, donut and pie charts, filters, date filters, dimension filters, all of that, and of course basic table features as well. If you haven't used any kind of data visualization software before, tools, it can get a little confusing. But if you have an understanding of Excel and you understand the idea of like tabular data, the learning curve's not too steep. And particularly with Data Studio, I think the learning curve's much less steep. It's pretty easy to get into this and start doing something pretty cool without much experience. So how do I build these? The principles are pretty simple. So all of these data visualization tools have kind of a similar set of visual design features. So you have your actual visualizations, charts, metrics, tables, that sort of thing. Then you also have things like shapes and images that you can add. So this has the option for a rectangle, circle, lines, text, images, or URL embeds. Those are kind of your tools you use that you can then put together to build something like this. This is mostly rectangles. Most of my stuff that I do in Data Studio and in any visualization tool is mostly rectangles. So I've got a background block to break the page up into two. I've got these rounded rectangles layered on top to give each segment its kind of its own frame. And then on top of that, I have my visualizations, and in this case, maybe a little line, just some accent to make it look pretty. The process of doing this is not as hard as you might think. The easiest way to learn it is to look at an existing template, pull it apart yourself, get in there, start moving things around, and start to understand how they've done things, like how they've made each shape design the way it was, or what fill they've used for the shape, what outlines they've used, has there a shadow on it or not a shadow on it, that kind of thing. And you can very quickly get up to speed. If you guys want this template, you can have it. It's fine. Just comment below. I'll send you a link to it. You can copy it over and do whatever you want with it. No problem. I have had a lot of luck learning things that way. And then there's also some basic visual design principles here. Like my phrase I always use, always align everything. So always make sure every element is aligned with every other element, right? These two things are aligned to the left. They're the same distance over to the left. Well, actually, I need to adjust that one a little bit, but you get the idea. These are equal size with equal spacing. These elements are combined are approximately the same height as this element on the left. If you start to align every element on a page, the page looks more organized and the design looks more clean. The other big tip I give people is don't use default color palettes. In Excel and Data Studio, if you use the default color palette, your design is going to look like every single other Data Studio and Excel report. But in this one, I've started to integrate a slightly more blue color palette with these muted dark blue gray tones, and all of a sudden it looks a little bit less like every other Data Studio report out there and a little bit more like its own thing. You can also get a little crazier with the color. I'll do another video on how to use color in Data Studio and how to use color in data visualization in general. It can really, you can do a lot in Data Studio pretty easily because the controls are, like I said, fairly straightforward and fairly similar to what everyone's used to, right? You've got a color selector, you've got the option to add a gradient, rounded sides, opacity, is it transparent or not is what that means, and what kind of border style you want. And if it has a shadow, we're all kind of familiar with that stuff. So those are the basic principles. I'm really excited to start sharing a little bit more around this, but let me know if you have any questions and comment below if you'd like a copy of the template. Thanks.